Revoice Podcast Network. The mic is ours.
Welcome back to Bad Attitude, the podcast where we dive into the creative prowess behind local VCU artists. Bad Attitude was created by host/sound editor Brett Coleman and producer Abby DeCandia. In Season 3, we'll be sitting down with a variety of creatives that we hope to recognize from VCU and dive into the mind of the individual. On this 13th episode of Season 3, we're sitting down with Zach, a graphic design student from VCU Arts. Currently a junior, they're also a part of Commonwealth Times with their role as a graphic designer and a studio monitor at Studio 23. From risograph animations, Chrome extensions, they explore any medium possible. Well, Zach, go ahead and introduce yourself and what you do.
I would call myself a graphic designer. It's kind of like a very loose term. I guess the main ethos of my practice really deals with like experimentation and exploration of different mediums.
How long have you been at Commonwealth Times?
Just for a year. I actually did completely redo their logo mark and
Oh wow.
kind of like adjusted some of like the assets they had before. I did a new logo mark and we got a new font, and it has like a completely new look. It's so much more like newsy, but also like kish and like hip with
That's sick.
Gen Z. And like we've also been working on the social media templates and finding out ways to like get more engagement with that. Those two like sort of projects have really made me consider like narrowing down my like work to focusing more on like publications and that whole realm.
Nice. Yeah. That seems very interesting. A lot you can really do there. Yeah, but you have this project called My Vape Shop Front, which allows people to download a Chrome extension that turns practically any website into a vape shop front. Why don't you dive more into the concept and how you worked on that?
Yeah, that was developed in Herdimas Anggara's PLATFORM SABOTAGE Class, which was an elective that he had taught in fall of last year. But that whole class was basically about like infiltration and kind of like sabotaging the platform, essentially. But that project in particular, I think it was something disputed artifacts was the premise for that project, and we had to make, but I'll just go into the project itself. Yeah, it's basically a Chrome extension you download. It's almost kind of like malware. It feels like it, but it's literally doing nothing to your system. It's kind of there to do nothing but annoy you.
Yeah.
I really like, when coming up with this project, I really wanted to do something with vape shops, or just that sort of like language of like almost like spam.
Yeah.
Because those flashy signs that you kind of walk by on the street, like
Just
somebody out
over
there
the
designed
top.
them, somebody
Yeah.
made them. They're so mundane, you just walk right past them. You get blinded by them. And I was like kind of fascinated by just like, how can I recreate that in a digital space? And so I went through like iterations of that project, and Herdimas really helped me with the code because I really know next to nothing about JavaScript. But I designed all of like those flashy signs that just like pop up at random. So it's fun if you open like, you can open up Canvas, or you open up like a news website, and it's just like littered with all of these like really obnoxious, like pointless like signs that have nothing to do with the website. But I kind of really like the idea of just like very mundane, pointless design. I feel like there's something so fascinating about like, especially what we consider to be like cheap design. I feel like that's kind of just like worth investigating.
Yeah, seeing how much you can go
extract.
with how much you can get out of it. And then I was looking at some of your other work. You have a Happy New Year risograph animation, and I just want to say I looked at that and I was like, wow, really impressive. Because there's this graphic designer online I follow. They do some graphic design stuff and album covers for some of my favorite bands. This one band, Teeth, but they're called Rosa Sawyers, but they do these animations. And I want to say, when I looked at your risograph animation, I want to say all their stuff is like risographs or like heavily like that. But you should check them out. They're super cool. But yeah, I don't know. That type of style is so like...
It's very popular, I would
It's
say,
like
yeah.
dull, but very catching at the same time. I don't know. Like stuff pops up off the page or whatever.
The texture, the halftone texture, animation in particular, it's only available on my Instagram. But that was like a fun little like New Year's skit that I just wanted to like push out. JPEG compression and risograph animation, because risograph, when you send something to print to it, it burns it on like a physical drum, and it uses that drum to transfer to paper. So you can only print one color at a time. So that was like layered colors. You put like something like a compressed, like very pixelated JPEG, and you send it. It can only burn holes, and like there's no like gradient value. It's just like there's a hole there on the master, or there's not. So it makes a really cool like halftone threshold effect per pixel. So it's really hard to like explain, but if you're interested, it's on the GIF. It like kind of pixelates at one moment and like goes back.
If there was one piece of media that you would say like forever left an impression on you and your inspirations towards your work, what would you say it is? Whether it's music, a video game, or a movie, what would it be? And feel free to be exactly specific. Yeah.
I mean, even just going back to Sophie, like like baby gay little Zach, discovering Sophie in like 2018, that album Oil of Every Pearl's on Insides. I think that really like being like introduced to that just kind of like expanded my whole like kind of view of, I guess, music, which extended into design. It got me really into like Charlie, A.G. Cook, which shout out wearing right now.
Oh, nice.
Which kind of leads me to A.G. Cook's designer, Timothy Luke, who also made the show. That like kind of little discovery definitely trickled down into like very much the ethos of my practice now. Timothy Luke is a really awesome designer. He does very cool, like perfectionist, like crystal clear, like graphics. And that also was kind of like my big introduction into, like that was the first thing that really caught me, I guess. That sort of like style of his. And I feel like sometimes I often shoot to recreate it, or like sometimes I like, I don't know, I just feel like it very much, his style is it left an impact on me.
Do you have any upcoming events you'd like to share?
That book launch for our publication, Scales of Indifference, it is coming, it'll be May 9th, exact date, might be at Hours on Main Street, but if you're interested, you can follow VCU Arts Graphic Design on Instagram, or the Scales of Indifference account on Instagram. I have that. I think that's like it for like any crazy events. I do teach some letterpress classes at Studio 23. So if you're kind of interested in type, or really want to get to know that very nice like community art space, definitely check out Studio 23, or to sign up for my type class.
Yeah, that's super sick. And then lastly, what are your socials? Where can we find your work?
Yeah, totally. I mainly use just my Instagram, ZVCHS, and my website will post my work, zachmontgomery.us. I don't really use LinkedIn that much, but I'm like around, so you can connect with LinkedIn. We'll be connected. Those are like the only like major platforms I'd like put myself out there as a designer.
Yeah, that's big though. Yeah, well, thank you so much for joining on Bad Attitude. Yeah, really interesting stuff. Really excited to see what you got in store.
Totally.
Thank you so much. Bad Attitude was created by host/sound editor Brett Coleman and producer Abby DeCandia. Are you a musician, artist, or creative of some kind? Reach out to us on Instagram at badattitude_revoice to possibly become a guest on the show. We're always looking for more guests. Bad Attitude is exclusively a product of VCU's Revoice Podcast Network, VCU's first student-ran podcast network. While you're at it, go check out a brand new episode of Rate This Plate. Thank you so much for listening to episode 13 in season 3. Thanks so much.